Bon Jovi, Oasis, and Stand By Me. Well, that's what we're doing here on the second Thursday of every month. We are here to stand by you, give you a bit of insight, and hopefully a few techniques to go home with you. If you just joined us, we were talking about relationships, we're talking about gratitude and the dignity of difference, which you'll need to go back and listen back to. A lovely phrase that Hayley stumbled across at a conference recently, which I now love, about finding that middle ground, or not even find the middle ground, but just agreeing to disagree to a different level. Still to come, we're going to be hearing Hayley's conversation about the pressures of motherhood, and Radiotherapy Day has been observed, so we've got that still to come. However, it was put perfectly by Caroline just a moment ago with listen to nature when we were talking about gratitude. And what better way to feel grateful than to understand music and how that can help you? And if it's helped you, we want to hear your stories. 01437 764455 on the WhatsApp. Yes, it's a landline. Yes, it still works. 01437 764455. Or you can download the Pure West Radio app, where you can send a message direct, or you can email studio@purewestradio.com. If you don't want your name mentioned, then just put no name, and we'll know that we can read out your comment, but won't give out your personal details. If you comment on the social media, because we're live on social media at the moment, your name and your face and your comment may well appear on the screen, just so you're aware. Hayley, before we introduce Angharad Good and Proper, what's your relationship with music?
I do like music that takes me back anywhere where it was fun, where I was free from responsibility. But I just love music. That it's so powerful, isn't it?
It is
so powerful.
Young and Free. We played Alison Limerick earlier with Where Love Lives. Have you seen? Well, you don't watch telly, so you might not have seen it yet. But the John Lewis advert uses that for that very same reason: nostalgia, feeling young and free, arms in the air. Whoop, whoop. Can you feel it? Someone who does feel it and feels the music very regularly and bestows it on groups of people, on individuals of people, and brings up magic in harmonic form, and is going to bring magic to the stage of the Torch Theatre very soon. It's Angharad from Hiraeth Haven. Good evening.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me. And that was a lovely intro. Thank you.
My pleasure. The last time we were in the same room with each other, we were both creating music in Have a Hub for the Samaritans with your wonderful Gellerswick Community Choir. So give us an overview, Angharad. Who are you and what is it that you do?
It's a very, very big question. So my name is Angharad. There we go. I still am a music director, so that is where I've been this evening working towards Evita with Milford Operatic. I'm also a musician, a singer. I've been a teacher. Before I moved back to Wales, I worked a lot in London, working with West End casts, doing musicals, doing tours, all these things. And then I moved back to Wales and kind of reignited, if you like, my passion for community music. So working a lot with community groups, running singing workshops, all these things. And I just thought, you know what, I want to officially be helping people. I was getting a lot of feedback that what I was doing was supportive of mental health, of well-being. And I thought, I just want to know that I'm doing it right. It was really important to me to get it right. So a couple of years ago, I started my master's, graduated this summer with a music therapy master's, which is a full psychotherapy qualification. So it was a very intense few years. But I've been super lucky to have had some supervisors, clinical supervisors here in Pembrokeshire. And then I am a sort of freelance sole trader, but set up the company Hiraeth Haven then to offer performing arts teaching, but with an element of well-being attached and the music therapy. So that's what I'm kind of on the path with now. I'm still a music director, I'm still a musician, but working a lot with community groups as well on like I say, like singing for well-being. All those, like bringing the music therapy and the performing together, which is amazing. It's a really lovely kind of offshoot now of what I do, which I love. So that's me in a nutshell, I think.
It's so great. When we were at Have a Hub together supporting the Samaritans, of course, you know that I lead Choirs for Good. Yeah. And the 3 beans on my T-shirt, the first one is Feel Good. And that's because we've done research as to the well-being and the physiological difference of singing in a choir, which can happen to people that have real ill health. So originally, people affected by cancer. We're currently partnered with Parkinson's UK about the impact and benefit of singing. And I am not surprised that you had people coming up to you saying, "We're singing in this group, and this feels good for my mental health." What other kind of anecdotes have you got about people that have come to you, maybe even a little bit reticently, if that's a correct word, and have actually gone away feeling that buzz?
Oh, I mean, loads. I mean, when I was working in London, especially sort of in the wider industry, even there, you've got professional performers who, for whatever reason, maybe lack confidence, lose confidence, have a moment of performing where they doubt themselves and can't shake that off. And even just by reconnecting through song, and often it is just, or music, it doesn't need words. It's just making music together, connecting together, just can bring some beautiful response from people. I had a singing client recently, not therapy, but a couple actually of singing clients who all messaged me afterwards saying, I found a bit of myself again. And I was like, that's such a beautiful compliment as well, that singing with them, supporting them in the moment, holding them with the music allows them to reconnect with who they once were, that you're saying about being free and young and all those things. That's part of the reason that the name of the company is Haven, obviously being safe, but Hiraeth being the Welsh word for longing to return to something, and nostalgia to return to something that we maybe can't return to, but how we progress on from that. So connecting. So it was happening a lot before the training, and thankfully the training worked, because now it happens more often, which is great. But like you say, the choir, the choral singing, like our heartbeats all sync up when you sing together. What a beautiful thing that without needing to speak a word, your heartbeats align when you sing. It's just incredible, isn't it? What an impactful thing that we seem to have maybe lost a little bit of culturally these days. Maybe music's become more professionalized. We've maybe just lost that ability to connect in that way. And it is like singing in that event at Samaritans, with the Have a Hub, with all these people bringing their voices together. It's very special. It's a very special thing to be part of, I think. Yeah. Even as the therapist and the leader, I still feel that special connection with people. It's lovely.
It's one of my favourite things. If Hayley is still in her nostalgia and her Hiraeth, we'll bring her back now. What are your thoughts on hearing that, Hayley?
I love the idea that heartbeats go in tune at the same time. That's amazing. I mean, music has always been powerful, hasn't it? Even without therapy attached to it. It can make you cry, it can make you happy, it can make you think about things. So I imagine with therapy, there's a lot of benefit to having that kind of guidance or support with music, to use music to its best advantage.
Yeah, so it's just a way, isn't it, of connecting, like I say, non-verbally. So even if you are a verbal and very cognizant person, you can express something musically. That's where the music therapist, then through the qualification, I found that I was becoming much more attuned to people, how they were expressing through music. So they weren't necessarily needing to tell me how they felt. It was just coming through the music we made together. Or we've even made, playlists with people and how they can use that playlist therapeutically. So we all can pop the radio on and listen, of course we can, and we can connect to music, great. But there are some things that we need that little bit of help to guide us with, isn't there? And it's like you say, whether it's being sad with the music, because that's what we need in that moment. It's not all about making somebody happy, is it? It's about processing our emotion. And yeah, it could be like guiding each other, like I say, through a playlist, or whether it's singing together or improvising music together. Sometimes it can be extremely chaotic, but a really lovely connection, because there's connection within the chaos as well, isn't there? Which is amazing. So yeah, it's been really, really eye-opening to actually do the training as well. And as part of the training, we go through some therapy as well, which has been an amazing process for me. So kind of you have both hats on then, that you've experienced the therapy as well as the therapizing. But what an amazing thing to kind of, connect with yourself. So
you mentioned there about some of us are losing touch of that music and how it makes us feel, and there's that something to do with the professionalism of music, where we don't just enjoy things for enjoying its sake anymore, because what's the point if I'm not going to be the best West End star? That there's no point in continuing any further. I'll just full stop. and you see it a lot in sport as well. I'm not going to play for the Premier League, so what's the point in carrying it on? And I imagine that some of the people that are engaging with you with music therapy, they're not grade 8 superstars.
Yeah,
so
and the number of times, again, this is where, when I was working kind of in the more sort of professional world of musical theatre, and people were coming with, I'm not good enough. And I say this regularly, and if there were any of my cast members listening, they'll know that I say at every audition that I ever do, there is no such thing as good enough, because my good enough is not the next person's good enough. Everyone is different. And I used to use examples of some singers, like Sarah McLachlan has the most beautiful technical voice, when she sang Angels years ago, that beautiful song. And if you kind of compare, if you like, it's not really a good word, but compare her with maybe other multi-million-dollar selling artists, their voice is maybe not as good, but they sell what they sell, because it's finding your niche. And I always say there's no such thing as good enough. So that would be my one thing that I would love to kind of support people with, is you are always good enough to make your noise. It is your noise, and it's unique, and it's beautiful and special, and that's what we need in the world, don't we? We don't need 1,000. She's lovely, but we don't necessarily need 1,000 Adeles. We don't necessarily need a full cast of Phantom of the Opera on every street corner. We need people. We need uniqueness. We need our internal beauty. So I think it's a really, really important thing that I'm really passionate about. When I hear people within the music industry or the performing arts industry say, "Yeah, you're not good enough," it is a blood boiler for me, because I always think, even on a professional stage, there is no such thing as good enough. And making music to make music is good enough. It doesn't matter if your music is shaking a Pringle tin with rice in it. It's music, and I think that's a really important part that we've maybe lost a little bit in modern, culture, maybe.
It's funny you mentioned about shaking a Pringle can with rice in it. Tracy's joined us over on Facebook. She goes to the Music Sunday down in Broadhaven with good friends Mike Chant, and we enjoy it. It takes us away from the stress, being able to perform, and even with the drums and the tambourines, it just makes us feel confident and sometimes silly. And there's nothing wrong with having a bit of play and a bit of music, and in that environment, community connection as well.
Yeah, because even making that music together, that's connected you straight away. And it might be, Pringles tin or your tambourine, or just being in the presence, actually, of music, listening to music with someone else. There has been research showing that our connection, just sitting next to somebody listening to music, is stronger with that person. Even if we don't communicate, just listening to the music together forms a connection. They've proven it with all sorts of tests and like fancy things. But what a beautiful thing. So go to your open mics, go to your, just make music. But then obviously for anybody that needs more, a little more than that, maybe for whatever reason, it could be anxiety, it could be a diagnosis of some kind, then do look up a music therapist, because they are, trained to help you and support you that little bit further if you need that step more support, which we all do sometimes, don't we? Everyone needs sometimes. We've all got stuff to work through. And so knowing that your music could become, not just something you do for fun or you're embarrassed by anything, it is something that you can really, really use to support your mental well-being, I think is really important.
Yeah. Hayley.
Yeah. I was just thinking, we were talking about how people are afraid of singing or whether they're good enough. Children just will pick up a drumstick and hit the drum, or the old xylophone. Do you remember the old xylophones? You just whack it. But they'll also sing.
Yeah.
Without any thought about whether they're good enough or not. Do you know at what point we lose that kind of, or we gain the fear of putting ourselves out there and doing those things?
I think it might be different. I don't know, but I think it might be different for everyone. I have 2 children, and one is nearly 7 and is maybe becoming a little more anxious to sing out, or he will do it with me. But so somewhere, maybe I think the primary age, somewhere, whether that's fear of judgment, whether that's confident, I don't know. But I work a lot with preschoolers, and it's joyous. They just make noise. Great. And they play, and it's so fun. And that just freedom, I think. And that's something that I definitely have always strived to do, whether it's with Milford Operatic, Gellerswick Community Choir, any group that I work with or individually, is trying to create a space that feels comfortable to just make noise in whatever way that is. I mean, even the Have a Hub event. Sorry, Tom, when I put everyone on the spot and made them all sing a warm-up with the choir, but because it just felt right to get the audience going, do you know what? We're here for Samaritans. We're here to support mental health. You can also sing.
You're in this.
To put an audience on the spot and just get them joining in, and then I could see the fear. But it's a lovely thing that just... How I don't know how we magically find that switch, because I am not actually the most confident person myself. Like I perform, and I have performed for a long time, but even things like this, talking, it makes me a little anxious. So I am, I have experienced that level as well, and I do appreciate that it is tricky. But I think if you can find that little moment, even if it's in the car, a safe space where you can start to explore your voice and make sounds. And then, look up a local choir, go along and join. Some people don't want to join a choir, will join a smaller group or a singing lesson. I don't know. Find a way to explore your voice. An open mic, awesome. A karaoke night. Just to explore what that is, because the act of singing, like you say, actually there is clinical kind of supporting evidence that the act of singing and producing sound does help us to come into a place of calm and a place of safety. So, if you are feeling it, try and sing. I've never seen anyone driving with the windows open in the summer, singing their head off, looking grumpy, always happy.
Love that image. We often talk actually on the breakfast show about traffic light karaoke. This song, if you're stuck at the temporary traffic lights, this one's for you. If you're at home, the hairbrush. There's a reason, going back to Hayley's nostalgia, that we do these things. It's because it makes us feel good, which is wonderful. But for those of us that might not be feeling good, or we're not in that neutral ground and we need that extra support, what's that distinction between having the confidence to go through the doors for the first time to an operatic society, to a choir, and they recognize that actually I need more. I need the therapy side of music. What's the distinction there, Angharad?
I think it is very personal, isn't it, for everybody? So if you do go and you think, I love me, there's something here I want to express, and you still can't, or you just feel in your everyday life that you need more support, that's where the clinical application of a music therapist comes in, really. I often kind of word it to my singing clients, or to kind of advertise, I suppose, that for me, the way that I work, when I'm teaching or MDing, then there's a project. We're aiming for maybe a performance, or we're aiming for pretty vocal, or we're aiming for a project that is musical. Whereas with the music therapy, we're working towards a clinical goal, emotional goal that's just may not be public. It may just be for us to work through something together. And that's where, like I say, that guided person with you can really, really help them to kind of support you and hold you with those emotions. Like I said, it's not about making people happy all the time, as much as that's great. Often it is about supporting people with something harder, something deeper. It could be a physical recovery as well. I've worked with stroke survivors before, dementia sufferers. It might be something like that, that music, then a guided music therapist will be able to support you more fully. And then it's just have a good look online, because there's quite a few. There is a British Association for Music Therapists who can then support you further with finding the right therapist for you, all registered. All the registered music therapists are HCPC, which is the Healthcare Professions Council. We can be audited by them. We're overseen. That it's a regulated psychotherapy. It's not kind of just some friend down the pub. It's regulated than that. So I think it's about personal choice. That if you feel like I could do with a little more, whatever that is, it might be more confidence. It might be dealing with anxiety. It might be dealing with depression. It might be dealing with attachments. It could be, there's infinite things in any world of therapy, isn't there, that people can support you with. But if music is your healer, if it's helping you, then maybe that's the step then from there. If that, walking through the door isn't enough for you, then maybe that's where you would get in touch then with a therapist to see how they could support you maybe.
Yeah. And music is so vast, so it can be utilized in so many different ways depending on how someone presents to you. Yeah. So I imagine that there's no typical session, but can you kind of give us a rough guide as to what people could anticipate if they were to be like, actually, I do need to get this off my chest, off my shoulders. I need to scribe this somewhere. How would you go about that process? in like in a session or over a series of sessions?
Sure. So it very much, like you said, it's very personal. It depends on the diagnosis, on the person sort of in front of you. But a lot of music therapists use improvisation, where we will get instruments, excuse me, but it might not be, you don't have to play to any level at all. It might just be a drum circle where we make music on a drum together. We just connect through that. It could be songwriting. So for a lot of people, songwriting. So it's one element of the course that I did was therapeutic songwriting. And again, it's not for public presentation, that's just for you. That may be working through lyrics and guiding somebody with how they could express that song or that poem or that emotion through the music. Could be playlisting, like I said, together, where we can work on kind of putting music together. If you don't want to make music, either with your voice or with your body or anything, we could then create music together, a playlist that would support outside of the environment. Or like I said, there is kind of an element of, there's a section of music therapy called local psychotherapy, where you can just use your voice to express in various ways. So it is a tricky one to describe. I think you ask some music therapists and everyone has a different answer, because it depends on the presenting sort of client, if you like, and what they need. It's very much adapting to what their needs are.
Yeah, because I think, personally speaking, I don't know how Hayley, me and Hayley are more similar than I think we care to even recognize sometimes. Going into that session, like, right, we're going to, I really fancy songwriter, I'm going to play guitar, and I won't be as good by my standards or by the outcome that I have in my head already before even going in. It's like, why isn't this sounding very good? That's what I would anticipate is what I would find most difficult. Hayley, do you resonate with that?
Yeah, yes, it would be. I have a very high expectation of myself, so I would struggle with my own expectations, not the work.
Yeah, but I think that's where then the music therapist kind of comes in, because obviously I am sort of therapist qualified, but a musician as well, and then there to kind of support with ways of making it. I am in absolutely no way a guitarist. Absolutely, previously to this course, so 2 years ago, I couldn't pick up a guitar. And I interestingly went through the McDonald's drive-through with my children the other week, and the lady in McDonald's went, "Oh, you're the guitarist," because I managed to learn 4 chords that will get through a preschool, and I did some early years, and I learned to retune a guitar. Sorry, guitarists, I know some people hate that, but tuning it into a different form of tuning, which makes it very accessible. And that's, again, something a music therapist could then support with and go, I get that, the sound you're making on this standard instrument isn't what you want, but we can make it other ways. There's no right or wrong. It's about kind of exploring, expressing in different ways. So yes, I'm in no way a guitarist, but do use the guitar a lot because we find other ways. And that was something for me that I found quite a challenge, maybe, training as a therapist, that I'd come from a very classical musical background, was actually a clarinet player. It's actually my trade, and very, very classical. So improvising on an instrument that it was hard, really, really hard. And often it was nice actually on the course to be able to step out and go, this is what it's going to feel like for a client as well. I don't know what to do. And it was and it really helped me find ways. And I found my own actually musicianship has probably improved a little bit with letting go of that. Is it perfectionism or just the idealism of what I wanted to sound like, and just exploring what I could sound like. So yeah, that's where the music therapist could then be there to support you with that and help you with other ways. And for some people, it's even kind of doing technology, so using loops on GarageBand and stuff to create the sound you want. Great. And like I say, the aim of it then isn't the song that you've written to kind of make a million. It's to use it therapeutically, so you can use all those cheats and you can use all those things that will really, really help. So yeah, it's something to just definitely be aware of, that no one expects anybody to walk into a music therapy room and pick up every instrument and be no. We're all learning, and I've had to play many an instrument that I don't normally play and fumble my way through, and it's been brilliant and really supportive of the clients. So rest assured, it is not expected.
Thank goodness. Hayley.
Yeah, I'm laughing because my expectations would be I can play in an arena. That would be my expectation. Not that I would, but just that I should be operating at that kind of level. Now, do you know what I'm loving though is the idea that you can do anything with music, that there's so much that can be done, like the writing. So if you're not somebody who necessarily connects with music, but you are good with words, you could do the words and somebody else could maybe match the music to it, or
Yeah.
you could find the music. I love the idea of being so flexible with what you do in sessions.
Yeah, it's really, it was a learning curve doing the training and doing my, I did a lot of placements throughout. So moving through different clients and kind of learning as well to respond in whatever way that client needed and being flexible. Very, very different to obviously the performing arts world, where you're like, you will rehearse this show and it will be exactly what it says on the tin and go. This is not that, which is amazing. Really, really lovely. And like I said, it's actually, I think, has freed me up a little bit with my own performance then to be more explorative, which is lovely. A nice offshoot of it. But yeah, there has been a really lovely project run all over the world, I think now, the Lullaby Project, where they support parents to write lullabies for their children if they've been separated from their children, for example, or if their children are, in hospital. Or there was one version of the project where the parent was incarcerated but was taken away from a young child. So they were able to write lullabies together and then share that with the child. And it's things like that that is so connective and ways to connect. And it could be rapping over me. It doesn't have to be beautifully sung. It's all just very, very bespoke to each client, how what they would need in the moment, really.
And of course, you've got your own project now, which you've started looking at antenatal mothers and connection through music through them. Give us an oversight into that.
Yeah, is my absolute heart song. And I've been very, very lucky, and I'm super grateful for the Haken and Hubberston Forum have given a grant to cover the rent for the venue for me and some refreshments. So it's anti and postnatal. So I've sort of thought the third and fourth trimester. So expecting families and then new families, would come together, and it could be biological parents, it can be foster parents, adopted parents. Just giving them a space to come to where we make music together, which the babies as young children are with us, but learning to use our voices more, connecting through song, how you can use breath, how you can use song to calm, regulate a child. We started last week, and we've made a playlist together as well, so that those horrendous, anybody with a young child will know, those 3 o'clock in the mornings when you're completely on your own and it's hard. The trenches are hard in families, aren't they? Like when you're on your own in the middle of the night and it's a bad night. And we thought, what, if we can make a playlist maybe that's just there, and in a way we are connected even though we're not together. There's a moment there where you can connect, knowing this is something that we've made together as a calming sound. And yeah, a lot of the ladies said already, we discussed as well using music during vaccination procedures. Awful, where the kids, we need to support our children, they need these vaccinations, but it's a painful procedure and it's hard for everybody. And even just using your voice at that time, which traditionally health visitors, midwives, nurses did, we don't seem to do that much anymore. So it's empowering parents really or caregivers, so not just biological parents, but could be a grandparent, to use their voice to regulate with the child and connect with the child and bond with them. And it's an absolute heart song of mine. And I'm so grateful for the support to get it up and running. So I donate my time every week to do it. And it just is something that I think is really, really important, that we have this connection in the day and age that we live in, where everything is online and we use screens all the time. Actually, our children need connection with us. And through music is one of the best ways for little people to do that. It doesn't matter if you are not a singer. It doesn't matter if you don't like your own voice. I always say, you are Beyonce to your child. And they love your voices to your child. So if we can empower, a few more parents to use their voices to support their child and also support their own needs. It's difficult, it's hard. Forming a new family is really, really hard. And I think things like postnatal depression, anxiety, medical anxiety has risen in the last few years. Anything we can help with. They seem like really simple things, really, but it can be really difficult. So yeah, using music to empower. So we're every Thursday at 1:30 in Haken. And if anybody is in need and wants to come along and join us, they'll be more than welcome, because it's just a really lovely space. And thank you to Forum. There's also money for refreshments. So we have coffee and tea. What more do you need? A good old song, listen to some music, cup of coffee. But it was really important to me, I think, to have that as well, have that moment of connection too. So I lead this sort of musical part of the session, and then just make a cup of tea And it's really nice for, I think, again, when you're stuck in the trenches of being a new parent, and can be quite isolating, can be quite difficult. So just to have that space to sit together and talk in itself is
Do they
wonderful.
need to pre-register for that, or is it just to turn up? How does it work?
Pre-register would be great. I mean, if anyone is very, very anxious, just dropping me a message, just so that I know who's coming and I can have resources sorted and things like that. And then if there's any additional need that anyone has, so anxiety or anything, just letting me know beforehand. And I can be supportive of that. So yeah, dropping me a message, an email or a Facebook is great. And I can, just be ready to welcome everybody, because it's a lovely thing, like I say, to engage with families in such a way. And hopefully even learning music at a young age for kids improves their language, improves their reading, all of it. So hopefully it's a tiny drop in a big ocean, but hopefully it might help some people to, feel more empowered, I think is the right way of saying it.
So, Hayley.
It's taken me back. So I've worked in nurseries and schools and all sorts. So I started my career in nurseries. And my boss used to see me as the singer, because I would come in. So I was one of these people who would work, go away, go and travel a bit and then come back. And she used to say to me, I know you're back because I hear you singing. And I used to make up songs all the time. So if there wasn't a song for something, I would make one up. But I did it with my own children for a while. But it just brought it all back as you're talking about parenting. Like the 2 songs I used to sing to children when I was frustrated or I was alone with the children, it was late at night, was You Are My Sunshine and This Little Light of Mine. But I used to sing it, This Little Boy of Mine or This Little Girl of Mine. And I used to say about them growing up. And it is really, it grounds you and it connects you, doesn't it, to the song, to the child. And it'd be interesting to see if I was to put that song on, would my kids recognise it now? I mean, they're 24, 21, 19 and 16 now, so I don't know.
Well, I frequently tell the story to the parents that I work with that I think maybe had I known what I know now, I might have chosen a different path when I was pregnant, because when I was pregnant with my eldest, I was working on the UK and New Zealand tour of Madagascar the musical, which was amazing. It was an amazing job to have. I loved every minute of it. However, the song Move It, Move It was played. And my son first started dancing to Move It, Move It when we were in Tech in the Wimbledon Theatre in London, and it was very noisy and loud, and every time Move It came on, he danced. And then once the tour opened, it toured without me, so I just dropped in every now and again to kind of oversee and check everything, and every time Move It, he'd start dancing. And he still loves Move It to this day. So yes, it's music they hear as a baby and in utero, it forms a bond and it takes them back to a place of safety. And so no doubt your kids will remember the feeling of safety when they hear that song. Yeah, I probably would have chosen something other than Move It for mine. But
it's a good song. It has a bit of rhythm.
It's a great one. Angharad, thank you so much for joining us. So remind anyone who might be listening to this now, if they want to, maybe they don't need the music therapy side of things. So you've got Gellerswick Community Choir. How can they get involved there?
Well, Gellerswick rehearses on a Monday evening, and we're at the Hubberston Community Centre, actually. So yeah, they can just come along or drop us a message on Facebook. It's a really delightful group. They are so lovely. It is actually a mixed choir. We tend to have a lot of ladies, but we are a mixed choir. So if there's any gents who want to come join us, please do. Be brave. Come along.
I know that feeling. And if there's young families and they want to go for these sessions, also remind us of the days and times of that.
Yeah, so Haven Songs is a Thursday at 1:30 at the Fold, which is St Mary's Church in Hakin. And again, if you just drop me a message on Facebook, Hiraeth Haven, I have a website as well, or an email. So just ping me a message and I can send you all the details and just get to know you a little bit before you walk in the door, just so you feel a bit more comfortable as well.
Yeah, and it's a big year for Milford Haven Operatic Society doing a Vita. It's going to be phenomenal. Top of your head, when can people? Well, they need to grab their tickets now. When is it?
It is in March, March the 8th to the 14th, 9th to the 14th. Apologies, rest on it. Yes, get your tickets quick because they are flying. I do believe that's terrifying. And please do, if you come and see the show. Being in the orchestra I have been very lucky to be in the orchestra the last couple of years for Milford, but we sit in a hole under the stage, all squished together, and we are there. So come down and wave. It's very lovely for the orchestra at the end of a show when people stay till the end and actually say hi to the orchestra, because we're sat in a hole under the stage all night. We got stuck together, and it would be lovely to see any audience members come and have a wave. So yes, beginning of March next year. Tickets are on sale at the Torch now.
Fun fact, it's the pit in the Torch Theatre that got me into music in the first place. Where I was sat, I had a perfect direct line vision on the drummer. I can't remember the show, but that birthday, I ended up with a drum kit. And here I am 25 years later, still drumming, learnt guitar, I sing, I perform, I now lead a choir. And it's all because of that drummer in the Torch Theatre.
I love that.
Yeah, so it's amazing what you can find at your local theatre. Angharad, Hiraeth Haven on social media and on the website. Thank you so much for joining us and giving us the insight as to the difference between just music for enjoyment and music therapy, because it's music. What does that mean? You've explained it incredibly well. Hayley, what are your parting thoughts here?
Just thank you for the trip down memory lane, really, for reminding me that I love music for a long time. But yeah, no, it's really good to hear that the music is used in such a productive way.
Yeah, we are there. Anybody needs their hands, music therapy is the way forward, I've decided.
Thank you so much. For the remainder of the show, we mentioned earlier about the conversation that we've got for Radiotherapy Day, so you can learn about radiotherapy. And Hayley, you were in conversation, funny enough, looking at Angharad's group for young families. You were talking about pressures with our next guest coming up after Ace of Base.
Yes, parenting pressures and the pressure you put on yourself as a parent.
So that's coming up next here on Healthy Minds, Better Lives for a Thursday evening. Thank you so much for your time and for your comments and for joining in with the show this evening. The videos will remain on our social media, so you can listen back to any bits that you may have missed, and the whole show will be on the catch-up after the broadcast. I'm back on tomorrow. Tracy had it remembered. It's Feel Good Friday with Beds Today tomorrow. So on your breakfast show, the playlist will be yours. And you've learned about playlisting and how good it is for you. So get into that weekend frame of mind and get your song suggestions in tomorrow morning from 6 o'clock with your breakfast show. All that's left to say is that we'll be back for December. Hayley, I'm going to put you on the spot again like I did last month. Is that a good idea?
Yes, you can. I'm not quite as prepared. I will be prepared now. Let me have a look what we've got coming up. We're obviously going to be talking a little bit about Christmas. We'll have to do that, won't we?
Yes.
Just a little bit. But our show topics are... We're going to be looking at joy, jitters, and juggling with mindful holidays.
Oh, and we were going to be joined by Ryan from SM Bespoke Care to this evening, but he's just come back from a holiday. So I think he's joining us in the December show as well. So we've got all of that to discuss coming up on December. What date is that off the top of your head, Hayley? Have we got it?
I'm just looking.
Oh, the
11th.
There we go. All of that to look forward to next month. If you've got a question that you want the Healthy Minds team to consider, or maybe get an expert on like we have done with Angharad this evening, then you can email now studio@purewestradio.com with your questions, your suggestions. We would love nothing more than to really deep dive in on that. So please do get in touch. We're going to have All That She Wants, Ace of Base, playing us into Hayley's interview, looking at parenting pressures, and World Radiotherapy Day will be played out for you before the end of the show. One more time, my big thanks to Hayley this evening. Thank you so much for your time as ever. We had a conversation around gratitude, agreeing to disagree, and relationships earlier on in the show. And once again, to Angharad from Hiraeth Music, thank you so much for joining us after rehearsal this evening.
Thank you.
Ace of Base, All That She Wants plays for you now. It's coming up to 20 to 11. Good night.